Welcome back. In this video, we will look at the contribution margin, which represents the difference between the total sales and the total variable costs. It can also be expressed on a per unit basis by looking at the difference between the price per unit and the variable cost per unit. This essentially expresses the contribution of sales net of variable costs to first the recuperation of the fixed cost of operations and then to the profitability of operations. The contribution margin can be expressed as either the total dollar amount or as a percentage of the total sales. Let's take a look at an example involving the contribution margin. Suppose you have an online store where you sell your paintings. The cost to produce each painting is $7, and it costs $2 to ship a painting to a customer. You sell each painting for $15. Determine the contribution margin per painting and contribution margin ratio. You first begin with the selling price per unit, which is $15, and then you subtract the variable costs, which include the $7 for production and $2 for shipping costs, giving you a contribution margin per unit of $6. Now you can divide this $6 by the selling price of $15 to determine that the contribution margin ratio in this example is 40%. Let's take a look at another example involving the contribution margin. This time, suppose you want to target a contribution margin ratio of 60%. Assuming your variable costs are still $7 for production and $2 for shipping, what price must you charge customers to yield the desired contribution margin ratio? The first thing that we need to realize is that since the contribution margin is the difference between the price and variable cost, the price equals the contribution margin plus variable cost. And if we express the contribution margin plus variable cost as a percentage of price, we can break it down to contribution margin ratio plus variable cost ratio always equals 1. Therefore, if our variable costs are $9 and the contribution margin ratio we're targeting is 60%, the variable cost ratio that we must also target is 40%. Therefore, we can use the expression variable costs over price equals variable cost ratio to isolate for the ideal price, which is $22.50 in this example. In conclusion, the contribution margin is what remains of sales after paying for variable costs. The contribution margin can be expressed either in total dollars or in dollars per unit. The contribution margin ratio can be derived by expressing either of those as a percentage of either total sales or selling price per unit respectively. Since the price equals contribution margin plus variable cost, the contribution margin ratio plus variable cost ratio will always equal to 1.